Lerato wiped the sweat from her brow as the sun blazed down on the bustling streets of the Johannesburg slums. The crowded market pulsed with life, vendors shouted prices, kids chased chickens, and the scent of grilled maize filled the air. Lerato stood next to her mother's fruit stall, arranging mangoes and guavas. The fruit glowed in the golden afternoon light, but all Lerato could think about was her school fees. That morning, her teacher had pulled her aside and whispered that if she didn't clear her fees soon, she would be forced to leave. The thought made her heart sink. School was her only way out of this life. As she leaned against the stall, trying to swallow her worries, an old man shuffled past, holding a crumpled lottery ticket. He mumbled something about luck as he moved on. Impulsively, Lerato glanced at the small kiosk across the road. A colorful poster of the lottery jackpot caught her eye, 50 million rand. She scoffed. Who really won such money? It felt like an impossible dream, but an idea rooted itself in her mind. Taking the little change from the day's sales, she approached the kiosk, her heart pounding with guilt and excitement. Just one ticket, she mumbled, handing over the coins. The vendor barely looked at her as he printed it out, a tiny piece of paper that held the weight of possibility. She stuffed it into her worn-out blazer pocket and hurried back to help her mother. That night, the family gathered in their small, dimly lit room. The TV flickered with static before the news anchor's voice cut through. Lerato didn't expect much as the winning numbers flashed across the screen. She glanced at her ticket, barely daring to look. One number matched. Then another. Her heart raced as she counted the numbers. By the time the last number appeared, Lerato was trembling. "Mama," she whispered, clutching the ticket. I think we've won." Her mother glanced at her, confused. Lerato held out the ticket, and they both stared at it, speechless. The reality hit them like a wave, 50 million rand. Lerato's eyes filled with tears as her siblings danced around the room, unaware of how much their lives had just changed. But deep in her heart, Lerato knew this newfound fortune would come with challenges she couldn't yet imagine. As the excitement swelled around her, she couldn't help but wonder, would money really change everything for the better? The next morning, Lerato woke up to a world that seemed brighter, as if even the sun had heard the news of her win. She glanced at the lottery ticket on the small bedside table, half expecting it to have vanished like a dream. But it was still there, crumpled but real. Her family buzzed with excitement. Her mother was already on the phone, whispering to a distant relative about the fortune that had befallen them. Lerato couldn't help but feel a strange blend of joy and fear. What if people started treating her differently? Her worries were soon confirmed when she stepped outside. The narrow alleyways that led to the main road seemed fuller than usual, as if the whole neighborhood had gathered just to catch a glimpse of her. "Lerato," shouted Mrs. Makona from across the street, a woman who never gave her family the time of day. "God has blessed you, my child. I always knew you'd make it big." Others joined in, patting her back, congratulating her as if they had been lifelong supporters. Lerato forced a smile, feeling a knot tighten in her stomach. By the time she reached school, whispers trailed behind her. Some of her classmates gawked openly, while others nudged each other, grinning. Usually, Lerato would slip quietly to the back of the classroom, but today, the popular girls, Busi, Thandi, and Refilwi, called her over. "Lerato, come sit with us." Busi chirped, her glossy nails catching the light. Lerato hesitated, unsure whether to trust the sudden invitation. Yesterday, Busi had laughed at Lerato's faded uniform. Now, she was offering her a seat like royalty. Throughout the lesson, Lerato couldn't concentrate. The teacher's voice faded into the background as Busi whispered about how they could go shopping together. "With your new money, you can buy the latest sneakers and the cutest dresses. You look like a queen." Lerato gave a weak smile, trying to process the rapid change in attitude. As lunch approached, the attention only intensified. Even Lunga, the soccer captain who had never acknowledged her existence, winked at her as he passed by. Feeling overwhelmed, she ducked out of the classroom and made her way to the old basketball court at the back of the school. To her relief, she found Tabo there, sketching something in his worn notebook. He glanced up, offering a warm smile. "Heard about your win," he said simply. "Congrats." There was no awe or greed in his eyes, just the same kindness that had always been there. Lerato let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "Thanks," she whispered, sitting down next to him. For the first time that day, she felt genuinely happy. Tabo handed her a piece of bread from his lunch, and they sat together, eating in comfortable silence. Lerato knew then that no amount of money could replace a true friend. But as the day continued, Lerato couldn't shake the feeling that not everyone was as genuine as Tabo. In her heart, she knew that her life was about to become more complicated than she had ever imagined. Lerato walked through the school gates the next day, her head held a little higher. She had convinced herself that maybe, just maybe, her life had truly changed for the better. For once, she wasn't invisible. As she approached the main hallway, she noticed a crowd gathering. Curious, she made her way closer, only to find Boosie, Thandy, and Refilwe huddled around Lunga, giggling loudly. "Oh, here she is!" Boosie exclaimed, waving Lerato over as if they had been best friends forever. Lerato smiled uncertainly and joined the group. To her surprise, Lunga greeted her with a charming smile. "Hey, Lerato," he said smoothly. "You're looking good today." Her cheeks flushed. Lerato had admired Lunga from a distance for as long as she could remember. He was the star athlete, popular and effortlessly cool. Now he was speaking to her as if they were equals. "Thanks," she mumbled, feeling her pulse quicken. Boosie slipped her arm through Lerato's, steering her away from the crowd. "Girl, you need to upgrade your look," Boosie whispered conspiratorially. "With that money, we can hit the mall this weekend, get you some proper clothes. You can't keep wearing those hand-me-downs." Lerato hesitated. Her clothes might be old, but they were clean and familiar. Still, the thought of shopping for something new sounded tempting. Maybe looking the part would make her feel more confident. She agreed, and Boosie's eyes lit up with excitement. Throughout the day, Lerato couldn't help but notice the subtle changes in how people treated her. Teachers seemed more patient, classmates nodded in acknowledgement, and even the cafeteria lady gave her extra food. The newfound attention was intoxicating, but a small voice in her head kept whispering that it wasn't real. After school, Lerato found Tabo waiting by the old basketball court. He was sketching again, his pencil moving gracefully across the page. "Busy day?" he asked without looking up. Lerato sat next to him with a heavy sigh. "You wouldn't believe it. Everyone's acting so different." Tabo nodded knowingly. "People change when they think you've got something they want." He handed her the sketch he'd been working on, a simple drawing of the court, with two figures sitting together on the cracked pavement. Lerato smiled at the familiarity of it. "Why aren't you like them?" she blurted out. "Why don't you act different now that I'm rich?" Tabo chuckled softly. "Because you're still you. Money doesn't change that." His words lingered in her mind long after they parted ways. As she walked home, Lerato couldn't help but think about how genuine Tabo was. Unlike everyone else, he didn't see her as a ticket to luxury. He saw her, the real Lerato. But as much as she wanted to hold on to that thought, the allure of popularity kept pulling her in. That evening, as she stared at her worn-out school uniform, she couldn't help but wonder what it would feel like to fit in with the popular crowd. Little did she know, the price of fitting in would be far greater than she ever imagined. Saturday morning arrived, and Lerato found herself caught up in the whirlwind of Boosie's shopping plans. She felt a pang of guilt as she dipped into her newfound wealth to withdraw some cash, but Boosie assured her it was just a small investment in her new life. They met at the bus stop, and Lerato couldn't help but notice how Boosie's outfit looked brand new, probably purchased just for this outing. They boarded the bus, joined by Thandy and Refilwe, who kept throwing compliments at Lerato's simple dress. When they reached the upscale mall, Lerato's breath caught. She had only seen places like this on TV. Mannequins in stylish outfits lined the windows, and well-dressed people strolled past, carrying expensive-looking shopping bags. Boosie wasted no time dragging her into the trendiest boutique. The shop assistant eyed Lerato skeptically at first, but when Boosie loudly mentioned Lerato's lottery win, her attitude shifted. Suddenly, they were being offered the best items. Boosie picked out sleek dresses and glittery tops, and before Lerato knew it, she was standing in front of a mirror wearing a red designer dress. "You look amazing," Fandy squealed, snapping pictures on her phone. Lerato glanced at herself. She barely recognized the girl staring back. She looked wealthy. A part of her felt proud, but deep down, it didn't feel like her. After spending far more than she intended, the girls insisted on celebrating at a fancy cafe. As they laughed and took selfies, Lerato noticed Lunga approaching with his friends. He greeted her warmly and joined their table, slipping his arm around her chair. "Looking good, Lerato," he whispered, leaning in closer than necessary. Boosie gave her a knowing wink. But as the conversation flowed, Lerato felt out of place. They talked about vacations, cars, and designer brands, things she had never experienced. Lunga casually mentioned how he could take her on a road trip to Durban now that she could afford it. Feeling overwhelmed, Lerato excused herself and went to the restroom. As she splashed water on her face, she overheard voices from the next stall. "I bet she doesn't even know how to pronounce half the brands she bought," one girl snickered. "She'll be broke soon," another whispered. "Slum girls can't handle money." Lerato's chest tightened. The realization hit hard. No matter how she dressed or acted, they still saw her as an outsider. Wiping away a stray tear, she straightened up and returned to the group, plastering on a smile. As they left the mall, Lunga offered to walk her home. But instead of feeling excited, Lerato felt uneasy. She couldn't tell whether his attention was genuine or just part of the fake friendliness that surrounded her. That night, lying in bed, she scrolled through social media and saw the pictures Boosie had posted, Lerato in her new dress, smiling with the popular kids. The comments were mixed. Some praised her glow-up, while others mocked her, calling her a wannabe. Feeling exhausted, she sent a quick text to Tabo. "Can we hang out tomorrow? I need a break from all this." A moment later, his reply came. "Of course. See you at the court." Lerato sighed with relief. She couldn't wait to just be herself again, even if it was only for a little while. The next morning, Lerato felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she walked to the old basketball court. She spotted Tabo sitting on the cracked pavement, sketching as usual. As she approached, he looked up and gave her a genuine smile. "Hey," she greeted, sitting beside him. "Thanks for meeting me." "Anytime," Tabo replied, closing his notebook. He noticed the tiredness in her eyes. "Rough night?" Lerato sighed. "You have no idea. Everyone's acting weird around me. The popular girls are treating me like their best friend, and Lunga suddenly wants to spend time with me. It's confusing." Tabo looked thoughtful. "Money changes people. Or maybe it just shows you who they really are." Lerato frowned. "But why would they pretend to like me now? I'm still the same person." Tabo shrugged. "Some people see you as an opportunity. They don't really care about you, they care about what you can do for them." Lerato's shoulders slumped. "I just wanted to be accepted. Now I don't even know who's real." Tabo handed her his notebook. "Here. Look at this." Flipping through the pages, Lerato found sketches of their neighborhood, people bustling at the market, kids playing soccer, her mother selling fruit. There was even a sketch of her laughing, surrounded by her siblings. "This is who you are," Tabo said softly. "No amount of money can change that. Don't lose yourself trying to fit into their world." Lerato blinked back tears. "You're right. I've been so caught up trying to impress them that I forgot who I really am." Just then, Boosie appeared at the court, her eyes narrowing when she saw Lerato with Tabo. "Oh, there you are. We've been looking all over for you. You should have told us you'd be here." Lerato forced a smile. "Just needed some air." Boosie ignored Tabo completely. "We're going to that new lounge tonight. You're coming, right?" Lerato hesitated. She looked at Tabo, who gave her a small nod of encouragement. Actually, I think I'll stay home tonight. I'm not feeling up to it. Boosie pouted, clearly annoyed. You can't be serious. Everyone will be there. I just need some time to think, Lerato replied, her voice more certain this time. Boosie rolled her eyes and walked away, muttering under her breath. Tabo smirked. Looks like you made a choice. Lerato smiled. Yeah. I'm starting to see who really cares about me. Thanks, Tabo. As they sat in the quiet, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the court. For the first time in days, Lerato felt a sense of peace. But deep down, she knew that standing her ground wouldn't be easy. She had seen the envy in Boosie's eyes, and she couldn't shake the feeling that her so-called friends wouldn't give up that easily. Monday morning arrived with a strange tension in the air. Lerato felt it as soon as she stepped onto the school grounds. Whispers followed her, and students gave her curious glances. When she reached her locker, she found a flyer taped to it. Bold letters screamed. Slum Princess Camp by Class. Her stomach twisted. Who would do something like this? Ripping the flyer down, she hurried to class, but the gossip was relentless. Boosie and her clique were huddled together, giggling behind their hands. As Lerato walked past, they didn't even bother lowering their voices. Guess money can't fix everything, we snickered. Lerato felt tears pricking her eyes, but she refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing her cry. She pushed through the day, feeling isolated despite being surrounded by people. Even Lunga seemed distant, barely giving her a nod. During lunch, she retreated to the old basketball court, her safe space. To her relief, Tabo was there. When he saw her face, his smile faded. What happened? Lerato handed him the crumpled flyer. Someone's trying to humiliate me. Tabo scanned the paper inside. I bet Boosie's behind this. She never liked anyone else getting more attention than her. Lerato leaned against the fence, anger simmering beneath her sadness. I thought they wanted to be my friends. They wanted your money, Tabo corrected. Now that you're not playing along, they're turning on you. Lerato clenched her fists. I don't get it. Why go to all this trouble just to make me feel small? Because some people can't stand seeing others happy, especially when they think you don't deserve it, Tabo replied. As they sat in silence, Tabo pulled out his notebook and began to sketch. Curious, Lerato peeked over his shoulder. It was a drawing of a lion standing proudly despite being surrounded by hyenas. That's you, Tabo said with a small smile. No matter how much they try to tear you down, you're stronger than them. Lerato couldn't help but smile back. But when the final bell rang, reality hit her again. On her way home, her phone buzzed, a message from Boosie. Meet us at the park. We need to talk. Lerato's heart pounded. Part of her wanted to ignore it, but another part wanted answers. When she arrived at the park, Boosie, Thandy, and Refilwe were waiting. Boosie crossed her arms, her face cold. You think you're better than us now? Too good to hang out? Lerato took a deep breath. No. I just wanted to spend time with real friends, people who care about me, not my money. Boosie scoffed. You think you're special just because you want a little cash? Newsflash, everyone's laughing at you. You're still just a slum girl pretending to fit in. Lerato didn't flinch. At least I know who I am. I don't need fake friends who only like me for what I have. Thandy looked uncomfortable, but Boosie just sneered. You'll regret this, Lerato. You'll see. As Lerato walked away, she felt a sense of closure. She didn't need their approval. All she needed was to stay true to herself. And no matter what happened next, she knew she had Tabo by her side. But as she glanced back at the girls, a chill ran down her spine. Boosie wasn't the type to let things go, and Lerato knew this wasn't over. The next few days at school were tense. Lerato kept her head down, avoiding Boosie and her clique. Tabo remained her rock, reminding her daily that she didn't owe anyone an explanation for her choices. Still, the whispers didn't stop. One afternoon, as Lerato sat alone in the library, she received a message from Longa. "Hey, can we talk? Meet me at the court after school." Her heart raced. Despite her better judgment, curiosity got the best of her. Maybe Longa wanted to clear the air or apologize for distancing himself. When she arrived at the court, Longa was already there, leaning against the old hoop. His easy smile made her feel momentarily at ease. "Hey," he greeted. "Heard you've been having a tough time." Lerato shrugged. "Something like that." Longa stepped closer. "I just wanted to check on you. You know, make sure you're okay. Those girls can be pretty nasty." Lerato hesitated, unsure if she could trust his sudden kindness. "Why do you care now?" Longa smirked. "Because I like you. I've always thought you were different from the other girls." Lerato felt a flutter of hope. "Really?" He nodded, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Maybe we could hang out this weekend, get away from all this drama. Just you and me." A small part of her wanted to believe him, but doubt lingered. "Why now?" she asked. Longa hesitated, his smile faltering. "Why not? You deserve to have some fun. Besides, it's not like you don't have the cash to do whatever you want now." There it was, the real reason. Lerato's stomach twisted. "So, that's what this is about. You think I'll just pay for whatever you want?" Longa's face hardened. "Don't act all high and mighty. You think you're too good for us now? Just because you hit the jackpot? Newsflash, Lerato, nobody actually cares about you. They just want a piece of the prize." Lerato took a shaky step back. "I thought you were different." He scoffed. "You're the one who changed. Acting like you're better than everyone. Don't forget where you came from." Tears burned at the corners of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I didn't change, I just woke up. You never liked me. You liked the idea of what I could give you." Before he could respond, Lerato turned and walked away, her chest tight with hurt. Just as she reached the end of the court, she spotted Tabo leaning against the fence, his face a mix of anger and sympathy. "Did you hear all that?" Lerato asked, her voice trembling. Tabo nodded. "He's not worth your tears." As they walked home together, Lerato couldn't help but wonder how many other people would reveal their true colors now that her life had changed. She clutched her backpack, determined not to let anyone else take advantage of her. But in the back of her mind, a fear grew. What if she couldn't trust anyone at all? The following week, things took a darker turn. Lerato noticed her phone buzzing more frequently, anonymous numbers, strange messages, and mocking comments on her social media. One morning, she woke up to find a fake account using her name, posting reckless and embarrassing updates. Panicked, she showed Tabo the profile. "Someone's pretending to be me." Tabo scrolled through the page, his jaw tightening. "This isn't just a prank. Someone's trying to ruin your reputation." Lerato's heart pounded. "But why? Who would go this far?" Tabo hesitated. "Boosie and her crew have been oddly quiet lately. Maybe they're behind it." Determined to confront them, Lerato found Boosie in the cafeteria with Refilwe and Thandy. "Why are you doing this?" Lerato demanded, holding up her phone. Boosie looked up with feigned innocence. "What are you talking about?" "This fake account. You're trying to ruin me." Boosie laughed mockingly. "Why would I waste my time on you? Not everything revolves around your pity party." But Refilwe's guilty glance didn't go unnoticed. Lerato narrowed her eyes. "So it was you?" Refilwe looked at Boosie, unsure whether to speak. Boosie shot her a glare. "Don't be stupid, Ref. She's just looking for someone to blame." Just then, Mr. Dlamini, the school counselor, approached. "Lerato, I need to speak with you in my office." Lerato followed him, her stomach in knots. In his office, he gestured for her to sit. "We've received complaints about some inappropriate posts from your social media account. Can you explain this?" Lerato's voice wavered. It's not me. Someone made a fake account. Mr. Dlamini nodded. We suspected that. Luckily, one of the students came forward with information. He turned his computer screen toward her. A video played, Refilwi, clearly distressed, confessing to helping Boosie set up the account. She made me do it. She said Lerato needed to be taught a lesson, Refilwi sobbed. Relief and anger swirled within Lerato. So it was Boosie. Mr. Dlamini sighed. We'll be handling the situation. I'm sorry you had to go through this, Lerato. After the meeting, Lerato found Tabo waiting outside. She explained everything, and he wrapped her in a comforting hug. People like Boosie thrive on jealousy. But at least the truth is out now. Lerato nodded. I just never thought she'd go this far. I guess money really does bring out the worst in some people. Tabo smiled gently. But it also reveals the best in others. You stayed true to yourself, even when everyone else changed. For the first time in weeks, Lerato felt a sense of victory. The fake friends, the betrayals, they had only made her stronger. And with Tabo by her side, she knew she could face whatever came next. But as they walked home together, a thought nagged at her. If Boosie was willing to go this far just to bring her down, what would she do next? Despite Boosie's schemes being exposed, the tension at school didn't completely fade. Boosie's clique was fractured, Thandy and Refilwi had distanced themselves, embarrassed by the fallout. Boosie, however, remained defiant. She paraded the halls with an air of superiority, acting as if nothing had changed. Lerato did her best to focus on her studies, but the lingering stares and whispers still gnawed at her. One afternoon, while helping her mother at the market, she noticed Lunga approaching. Instinctively, she tensed, but he raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. Hey, can we talk? He asked cautiously. Lerato hesitated. What do you want? Lunga sighed. I just wanted to apologize. I shouldn't have treated you like that. It wasn't right. Her eyes narrowed. You're only saying that because everyone turned against Boosie. You didn't care when it was just me suffering. Lunga looked down, guilt evident in his expression. You're right. I messed up. I guess I got caught up in everything. When you won the lottery, I thought, maybe I could finally be part of something better. I didn't think about how you felt. Lerato took a deep breath. You never really saw me. You just saw the money. He nodded. I'm sorry. Before Lerato could respond, Tabo appeared, carrying a crate of mangoes. He looked between the two, sensing the tension. Everything okay here? Lunga mumbled a quick goodbye and hurried off. Tabo raised an eyebrow. What did he want? To apologize, Lerato replied, her tone flat. Tabo chuckled. Let me guess, only after he realized Boosie lost her power? Lerato nodded. It's just disappointing. I thought he liked me for me. Tabo shrugged. Sometimes people only see your worth when they think you can give them something. As they worked together at the market, Lerato couldn't help but feel grateful for Tabo's unwavering presence. While others had come and gone, he remained steady, loyal and honest. That evening, as they walked home, Lerato's phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. You'll regret what you did to me. Watch your back. Her heart pounded as she showed the message to Tabo. He frowned. It's Boosie. She's not done. Lerato swallowed her fear. What else could she do? She's already ruined my reputation. Tabo put a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes people like her don't stop until they feel like they've won. Be careful. Lerato couldn't shake the feeling that Boosie had one last trick up her sleeve. And with how bitter she seemed, Lerato knew it wouldn't be pretty. The next morning, Lerato woke to a commotion outside. When she peered through the window, her stomach sank. A police car was parked in front of their home, and her mother was speaking to two officers. She rushed outside, panic seeping into her veins. What's going on? She asked. One of the officers turned to her. Are you Lerato Fembu? She nodded. We received a tip that you've been involved in illegal gambling. Someone reported that your lottery win was part of a fraudulent scheme. Lerato's heart stopped. That's not true. I bought the ticket legally. Her mother interjected, voice trembling. There must be a mistake. My daughter would never do something like that. The officer handed her a piece of paper. We're investigating, but you'll need to come to the station for questioning. As they drove away, Lerato's thoughts raced. Who would make such a false accusation? Then it hit her, Boosie. She was the only one spiteful enough to stoop this low. At the station, Lerato recounted everything, the day she bought the ticket, how she checked the numbers, and even the verification process. The officers seemed skeptical until Tabo arrived, carrying his sketchbook. I can prove she was with me that day, he said confidently. He flipped to a page with a detailed drawing of Lerato holding the ticket, excitement on her face. I drew this the day she bought it. I was there. The officers glanced at each other, and after making a few calls, they returned with an update. You're free to go. We've verified the ticket's authenticity. It looks like the accusation was false. Relief flooded Lerato's veins. As they left the station, she hugged Tabo tightly. You saved me again. He smiled. I just told the truth. Besides, I couldn't let you face that alone. The news spread quickly, Boosie had been caught in her lie. The school administration suspended her for spreading false accusations, and her reputation crumbled faster than she could salvage it. In the days that followed, things slowly returned to normal. Lerato focused on her studies, ignoring those who had treated her poorly. Some of the former friends tried to apologize, but she politely kept her distance. One afternoon, as she and Tabo sat on the basketball court, she couldn't help but smile. You know, Lerato mused, winning the lottery wasn't the blessing I thought it would be. It showed me you really cared about me, and honestly, I'm glad it did. Tabo laughed. Money comes and goes, but real friends stay. Lerato nudged him playfully. You're such a philosopher. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun dip below the horizon. As the sky painted itself in hues of orange and pink, Lerato realized that wealth didn't define happiness, genuine connections did. A few weeks later, Lerato decided to donate part of her winnings to the community center, funding programs for underprivileged kids. Tabo helped organize art workshops, and the entire neighborhood buzzed with excitement. Life wasn't perfect, but Lerato knew she was richer in the ways that mattered most. As for Boosie, she transferred to another school, unable to face the shame. Lunga kept his distance, clearly regretting his choices, but Lerato didn't hold any grudges. She had moved on. And as she glanced at Tabo, her unwavering friend, the one who stood by her through the chaos, she couldn't help but feel grateful. In a world that had been flipped upside down, he remained her constant. For Lerato, the real lottery wasn't the money, it was discovering who truly had her back.